making this video because I was in a lesson the other day and a client asked me a question that I think is very relatable. Probably a lot of you watching this are in a similar circumstance. Hooligan, okay. And I want to help you avoid having your dogs further bad behavior, further unnecessary, unwarranted aggression, and definitely unnecessary bites. Forced socialization. What is it and how does it impact our dogs? Very simple. You want your dog to socialize in a way that is maybe not appropriate for your dog. Hooligan, let's go. You want your dog to socialize in ways that are possibly not appropriate for your dog, that are beyond your dog's comfort zone. Can the comfort zone be improved? Yeah, a lot of times, sure. Sometimes not. And it depends who's doing the stretching of the dough, so to speak. If it's someone who doesn't really know what they're doing, which is most often the case with your average dog owner, that's a very risky, dangerous proposition. So I've got a client right now who we're finishing up a training program. The dog is a nervous, reactive dog. He's a very nice dog. He just lacks confidence. They are much more in control than they were when we started training rather. Their walks were a nightmare. He was reacting to every dog. He was reacting to people on the sidewalk. Right now, she can take him for a walk with ease. Things are going much better. People coming into the house, everything going good there too, except for one person. And at our last lesson, the owner asked me, how do I help him like and become friends with this individual? Now that's the human want, and we'll get into that. What does the dog want? The dog wants to be left alone by this person. He doesn't feel safe with her. They've tried over and over to have them interact, and this forced socialization has created a bigger problem. If they would have just let him avoid her, then everything would have been okay, because he says, well, when she comes over, I can just do my thing. Kind of like when you go over to a friend's house and they have a teenage kid who doesn't want to sit at the coffee table and have coffees with everybody. Hooligan, leave it. Yeah, let's go. He wants to go say hi to everybody. So, let's go, Bubba. To force the dog to socialize is to say we're going to change his nature. We're going to ignore what he is. So just like my dog was watching a couple of kids waiting for a school bus, my dog's nature is, I love everybody. And I'm not going to change that. I wouldn't want to change it, but even if I wanted to, it's not possible. What I can do, however, is I can train my dog so that I can give him direction and control him and keep him out of trouble, right? That's my job. Keep the dog out of trouble, keep him safe, keep those around my dog safe. When you try to forcefully socialize a dog that isn't social, isn't comfortable, you're inviting danger. You're going to cause the dog to fall deeper and deeper into quicksand, because the dog starts off avoiding, right? This dog would initially avoid, and then the owner feels bad. I don't want my dog avoiding so-and-so. I don't want my dog growling at so-and-so. I want them to be friends. Again, that human want, because we want everybody to get along, right? It comes from a good place. We just want to all be together and get along. But sometimes being together and getting along means we all stay in our lane, right? That's peaceful. I'll take peace over forced socialization that will erupt with a fight, with a bite, with blood, with bad feelings, and with the dog falling deeper into a behavioral pattern. So, wanting the dog to socialize when the dog is clearly saying, this is not for me, is just bananas. It doesn't make sense as a dog trainer. But you see people doing this all the time with their dogs. You see someone buy a Kong, a Frisbee, and they pick it up and they throw it for the dog. And the dog's got no interest in it. I'm not talking he chases it and runs away with it. I'm not talking that the dog goes over and sniffs it, holds it in their mouth for a minute and moves on. I'm talking like the dog just watches it go and says, yeah, and then goes on its merry way. What does the owner do? Hey, Bubba, let's go. What does the owner do? the owner goes and picks it up and throws it again and again and again. And what they're hoping is that the dog will discover miraculously that it loves playing fetch. Now, once in a while, okay, absolutely. The dog just needs to be exposed to it a little bit and maybe something comes of it. But by and large, you're not going to change that dog. This guy, let's go, is an athlete. Not the norm for a bulldog. My last bulldog was not an athlete at all. I'm not going to change him. I'm not going to be able to, quote unquote, train him into being a lazy dog. Just like I couldn't train my last dog into being an athlete. That's their nature. They are what they are. I just filmed a video that I'll put out soon where I raced him. There's a short of it up if you want to just get the cliff notes. But I raced him on this field here with my fat bike. Spoiler alert, he won. And I'm fast on a bike. I'm not fast on a fat bike, mind you, but on a road bike, I'm pretty quick. My last dog, she would have just come out and been like, yeah, what's the point of this? Can we get back to the couch? You're not going to change the nature of the dog. That doesn't mean you can't help a fearful dog. Don't take this and misunderstand what I'm saying. I make a living helping fearful dogs. I make a living helping people with aggressive dogs. And sometimes there is absolutely a night and day change. But if you're going to do this as a lay person, where you're just going to go out and try and forcefully socialize a dog, waiting for them to change, I promise you, you're going to get into trouble 9 out of 10 times. That was my last bulldog. And she was as lazy as they come and just wanted to snuggle on the couch. They are what they are, folks. Don't try and change your dogs. And don't try and force them to be something they can't be. We see it with parents all the time. They want the kid to be an athlete. The kid doesn't want to be an athlete. The kid doesn't feel like that's something that's in them, or it has other interests. Or maybe the kid likes a sport and the parent has visions of another. Or the same with playing an instrument, or the same with whatever field of work the parent designates that the kid should be going into. Let's go, who? So for socialization, what happens? Very simple. The dog starts out being polite, and we're lucky that the dog is polite. I don't like so-and-so, I think I'll avoid so-and-so. And then we say, no, come on, you gotta be friends. Hooligan, let's go. Nice one. Yeah. So the dog starts out by avoiding, and we want the dog to be friends with the person. So we force them together and we say, oh, look, he's not growling right now. He's not biting right now, but he's in avoidance mode. And he's just kind of like this. And you may not see it, but a trainer will spot it. And then the dog says, geez, you know, when I'm polite, it doesn't work out so great. I still get forced into that situation. Or, oh, thank God I just got by and I survived this time. I don't know that I ever want to be in that situation again. And then we force it again and again. And then the dog says, you know, all my polite gestures and signs, they're not working. So I have to make my signs bigger. I guess I got to use teeth now. And it gets bad really, really fast. And then what do you think happens? What does the dog learn? The dog learns not to trust the handler, because the dog says, I was telling you all along I didn't like her. I didn't want her near me. I didn't want her touching me. And every time I tell you, you don't do anything to help me. So the dog starts to feel like a punching bag. And as a result, the dog starts to bite. And the dog discovers very quickly, when I bite, they back away. And when they back away, I achieve success. Right? Think about it this way. 4 of us are sitting at a table. And this dog, who loves to eat, comes up to person 1, person 2, person 3. No one feeds the dog. Person 4 gives the dog a piece of meat. What do you think's going to happen the next time those same 4 people sit down at the table? Is he going to waste his time with the 3 people that don't feed? Or is he just going to go directly to where he gets fed? We all know the answer. And that's dog training. This is what people fail to realize. When you are conditioning your dog, when you are helping your dog discover what brings success. And success is whatever the dog wants in that moment. You're training your dog. And then when you're doing it repetitively, so in this case, every time the visitor comes to the house, you are training the dog to have a pattern. So I have that bale of hay that I bought a little while ago, and I've used it for a place with Hooligan. And if I walk by it, he's going to jump up on it. I'm not going to have to tell him anything. I'm not going to have to ask for anything. So you see that? Because in his mind, when we're here, this is something that we do. So watch again, a pattern, and you'll, what are you doing, bud? Let's go. Okay. So now think about, my hands are numb. It's so cold this morning. Think about your dog's patterns. You open the cupboard where the food is, the dog comes running. Why? Because there's a predictable outcome. You pick up a leash, dog runs to the door, dog thinks we're going for a walk. You grab your car keys and your phone, and the dog says, oh crap, they're leaving for the day. Dogs predict patterns. That's what training is based on. So person X comes to the house, and I've avoided them, and yet I constantly get molested by that person, and I've told them very politely I don't like it. And then the dog naturally feels defensive when the person comes over. And then the dog discovers, well, little flashcards, little cue cards don't work. My big cue cards, when I use my teeth, work. And that's what they fall into. So when you force socialization, when you're not an experienced dog trainer and you force socialization, this is very often where it ends up. I'm sure some of you out there watching this have done this kind of stuff and it's worked out fine. That's great. I'm happy. I'm not saying it can never work. I'm saying it's very risky, and if you're not experienced and you don't know how to read the dog really well, you're asking for trouble. And I don't get, after all the years of doing this, I do not get people's need for the dog to fawn over everybody. What about everyone just staying in their lane, and we can't all hug each other all the time? It's a safer way to live. So until next time, this has been another conversation with a dog trainer. I'm Nick. This is my guy Hooligan, who's wondering why he can't have a second, third, and fourth breakfast this morning. And I got to run to work and train people's dogs. So we're going to wrap it up here. Talk to you soon.